Welcome to the April 20th, 2026 Annual Town Meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order. Copies of the resolution are available on the table outside the auditorium for anyone who needs one. The warning for this meeting was published on March 17th in the Hartford Courant and is also available outside on the table outside of the auditorium. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to waive the reading of the warning. Is there a second? Okay. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, I would like to ask for a motion to nominate the moderator for tonight's meeting. Do I have a motion? In a second? The motion passes. At this time, I would like to introduce Bruce Surratt, who will serve as the moderator for this annual town meeting.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your confidence in electing me as moderator for tonight's annual town meeting. And before we begin, let's please stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag's right there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I will now describe the procedures we will follow tonight. The town meeting is a great tradition here in New England. We are now part of that tradition. Each of you, by your presence here, are eligible voters and members of the deliberative assembly. The moderator is here is your agent to help the assembly arrive to a collective decision on this matter before you. The moderator is here to preside, not to persuade. Your decision tonight on the town operating budget for 2026-2027 is not final until the approved or rejected by the voters on the polls on April 30th of 2026. Please note that voters in the referendum cannot change the budget. They can just vote yes or no. If the majority of those on April 30th of 2026 rejects the budget, the number of those voting equal at least 15% of the number of registered electors, the town council recommends a second budget, which must be lower than the budget rejected at the referendum that goes to a second town meeting and a second referendum. If the second referendum budget gets rejected at the town referendum, the council shall meet and shall adopt a budget for the upcoming fiscal year, which shall be lower than the second referendum budget. So, we do not have the required number of voters present here tonight to make any changes on this section of the agenda. So we're going to skip the section where if we had over 300 people, there could be some changes. So I'm going to go off script a little bit. I just want to say thank you for the town council and the town manager's office for all the hard work that they've done. I've been in their shoes before, and it's a lot of work, and I commend them for them, as well as the Board of Ed. It's a lot of work that they put together for tonight's meeting for you guys, and I appreciate it. Okay, so we have 5 items on the agenda tonight. I'm going to read through all 5. The first one is that the town report for the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2025 be approved. The second item, that the budget recommended by the town council for fiscal year commencing July 1st of 2026 be approved. The third item, that the town of Farmington approve $14,339,152 for elementary school ventilation, upgrade, and improvements. The fourth item, that the town of Farmington appropriate $4 million for the costs related to repairs and reconstruction of various town roads and drainage system. And number 5, to consider and act upon any other business which may properly come before this meeting. We will consider each agenda item separately. To take place each of these items before you, I will call a motion and someone will second it. I will then ask for the appropriate town officials to describe the item in informational purposes. I will then recognize anyone who wishes to speak on the motion before us, and I would ask you to go to the microphone in the aisles. It's one microphone over there, and begin stating your name and address for the record. I ask that you keep your comments to the agenda on the topic and present them with briefly as possible. If you have any questions, please direct the questions to me as the moderator and indicate to whom you would like to answer it. Please confine your questions to the topic under the discussion and do not enter into debate. If a comment or question is not germane to the topic at issue, I will rule it out of order. If a number of speakers wish to be recognized, I may set a time limit, and each speakers will have a possibility to speak before it gets too late. Then I will call a motion to adjourn the meeting to the referendum to be held at the regular polling places on April 30th of 2026 between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. Okay. Here's the first motion. Can I have a motion to move forward the first item contained in the warning that the town report for the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2025 be approved? Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Okay. I have a motion and a second. Now I'll call for a vote. So all in favor say aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Can I have a motion to move the second item containing in the warning that the budget recommended by the Town Council for fiscal year commencing July 1st of 2026 be approved? Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Okay. I have a motion and a second. So I will call for Kathy Polonsky, the town manager, Jess Giannini, superintendent of school, to begin their presentation.
Good evening, and welcome to the Farmington Annual Town Meeting. Tonight, I present for your review the Town Council's recommended budget for the fiscal year 26-27. Budget process. Each year, our budget development begins in January when the Town Council issues budget guidelines. I work closely with department heads and staff to review their budget request and formally present the Town Manager's recommended budget to the Town Council in March. The Council then begins its review process, which includes a series of public hearings and budget workshop sessions. Following this review, the Council adopts a proposed budget for presentation to the voters. A public hearing was most recently held on April 6th that allowed residents to provide feedback. Following this evening's annual town meeting, the Town Council's recommended budget will be brought to a referendum vote. This year, the vote will take place on Thursday, April 30th. Expenditure summary. I will now review the Town Council's recommended budget. The general fund budget includes the recommended spending for the town, for the school system, for debt service, and for capital improvements. The budget is broken down into 3 categories: expenditures, grand list, and revenues, which are used to develop the tax rate. The total recommended budget for fiscal year 26-27 is $143,244,394, an increase of $6,478,962, or 4.74% above the current budget. Town's operation by category. The recommended town budget is $37,738,588, an increase of $1,297,428, or 3.56 above current expenditures. This includes general administration with an increase of 2.96%, public safety an increase of 5.52%, public works an increase of 6.25%, community service an increase of 5.70%, recreation increase of 42.77%, and other a decrease of 0.52%. Some areas to note. This budget includes the establishment of a new special revenue fund for the Public Safety Regional Dispatch Center. Under this structure, the operating budget will fund $1,196,526 towards Regional Dispatch Center, while the remaining expenditures will be supported through grant funding from the state of Connecticut and the contractual payments from the towns of Avon and Burlington. This restructuring results in a $564,118 reduction to the town's operating budget. Overall personnel costs town-wide have increased due to the current job market, increased contractual obligations, and an effort to attract and retain employees. The Registrar of Voters account has increased due to the governor's election in November and reflects new salary levels for the registrars. The full-time account in the patrol operation budget includes funding for an additional patrol officer. The full-time account in the Highway and Grounds includes a funding for an additional Highway Maintainer 1 position. The public buildings, the 1928 Town Hall account, has increased significantly as only 4 months of expenditures to operate and maintain the new Town Hall were included in last year's budget. The calls for service in the fire department have increased, resulting in higher contractual payments to the volunteer departments. The recreation service account has been increased as line items associated with the administration of recreational services were transferred in from the recreation fund. Additionally, accounts were added for the operation of the splash pad and pickleball courts at the Westwoods Recreation Complex. Expenditures by object. This budget is further separated by object, which includes salaries, benefits, supplies, equipment, contractual, and utilities. The decrease of salaries is 0.98%. The decrease of benefits is 0.53%. There is an increase of 1.64% for materials and supplies. There is a decrease of 10.05% for equipment. The increase for contractual is 21.51%. Lastly, there is an increase of 4.69% for utilities. The recommended town general fund operation is $37,738,588, which is a 3.56% increase above the current budget. Debt service. The debt group of accounts includes appropriations to make principal and interest payments on the town's long-term debt obligations. The total amount proposed for fiscal year 26-27 is $13,985,252, an increase of $268,981, or 1.96%. The funds will pay for a lease financing obligation, Clean Water Fund loan repayments, and the principal and interest due on the town's existing bonded debt. Funds are also included for an interest payment on a debt issuance plan for later in 2026. The debt proceeds will be used to pay the expenses associated with the building of the new Farmington High School, the renovation of the 900 wing to the Board of Education offices, replacement of the HVAC systems at the police facility, senior center, and highway garage, and renovations to the 1928 Town Hall building. Special services. The refuse collection budget includes the cost of collecting and disposing of solid, bulky, and hazardous waste generated by town residents and the town's landfill operation. This budget proposes a 1.88%, or $5.20 increase to the user fee. The annual fee will be $281.20 per household. General fund capital appropriations. The town's capital improvement policy and the town's strategic plan were the policy guidelines that were at the forefront when formulating the CIP. The recommended general fund appropriation to support the first year of the capital improvement plan is $4,237,000. There are also 2 bond questions. Summary of capital projects year 1. $1,150,000 to Board of Education General Fund, which will be outlined in detail later this evening. $3,087,000 to the town's general fund projects, which are outlined on the screen. This brings the general fund projects total to $4,237,000. Summary of other funds. Year 1. The capital projects shown on the screen are being funded by other funding sources and not through the general fund or taxpayer dollars. These funding sources include donations, state dollars, and user fees totaling $215,000. Summary of the LoCIP funds. The capital projects shown on the screen are funded by the State of Connecticut Local Capital Improvement Program, LoCIP grant, and not through the general fund or taxpayer dollars. LoCIP funds total $290,000. Summary of bonding. The town's capital plan proposes 2 bonding questions that will be discussed later tonight. $14,339,152 for the Board of Education's K-4 HVAC projects. It's anticipated that the town will receive 31.79% reimbursement by the state of Connecticut. $4 million for road reconstruction and repair. This continues the town reconstruction and repair program. Expenditure summary. The total recommended budget for the fiscal year 26-27 is $143,244,394, an increase of $6,478,962, or 4.74% above the current budget. I will now call on the Superintendent of Schools to present the Board of Education budget.
Good evening, members of the Farmington community. I'm pleased to present to you the 2026-2027 Board of Education's recommended budget. I'll begin with our mission statement, which serves as a guide throughout the budget development process here in Farmington. The major drivers for the 2026-2027 operating budget are seen here. In student services, we continue to respond to the evolving needs of our students through the shifts in staffing, programming, and services. To appropriately fund our self-insurance policy, a 9.42% increase in health care and benefits is recommended. In the areas of supplies, equipment, and services, we continue to see cost increases well over 3%. This budget supports contractual obligations and negotiated increases. And in technology, this budget provides for the infrastructure, software licenses, and equipment necessary to meet the academic and business needs of a K-12 educational institution. Here we see the total proposed Farmington School District budget of $86,858,554. representing a $3,617,571 or 4.35% increase over the previous year. Presented here is an overview of each budget series found in the operating budget. This chart represents the changes from last year to this year's recommendations. Next, I will share an overview of each series found within our 2026-2027 recommended budget. The first budget driver is salaries, the 100 series, an overall recommended increase of roughly 4%. The 100 series accounts for 66% of our total budget and reflects negotiated contract obligations for all our staff. This series includes the addition of a district-wide supervisor for special education services and an additional special education teacher leader for our K-4 schools. Also included is the addition of a part-time speech and language pathologist and a part-time school psychologist. Finally, this budget series includes the reduction of 7 positions at the elementary level based on our current enrollment projections. Overall, these changes lead to a reduction of 4.3 certified staff for the coming school year. The next budget driver is the 200 series, or employee health benefits. The 200 series accounts for 15% of our overall budget requests. This account covers 100% of expected paid claims, administrative costs, and employee life insurance. The 9.59% increase is driven by overall trends in the market and derived from recommendations made by OneDigital our insurance broker. Services is the next budget driver. This series accounts for 16% of the total budget requests and includes an overall increase of 1.28%. This account reflects contractual obligations in transportation, electricity, special services consultation, and tuition costs for outplaced students. Also covered within this series are major facilities projects, summer school programming, professional development costs, and technology software systems. The 400 series, or supplies, accounts for roughly 3% of the overall budget request. The 2.42% recommended increase covers all instructional material necessary to support the curriculum, as well as the supplies utilized by our maintenance and custodial staff. Finally, this account provides for facilities rentals for programs like swimming and ice hockey. The 500 series, or equipment, represents roughly 1% of our overall budget requests. This account provides for both facility and technology equipment requests. The 16.6% increase is driven by the rising cost of technology hardware, such as Chromebooks, which are part of our device lifecycle management process. Finally, the 600 series, which also accounts for roughly 1% of our total budget requests. This series provides for memberships in professional organizations that support staff, school, and district improvement efforts. The 600 series also includes the Town of Farmington's negotiated liability, umbrella, and motor vehicle insurance for the district. You'll notice an overall reduction of 3.5%, thanks to a savings of roughly $15,000 for insurance coverage in the coming school year. Here is a final view of the Board of Education's recommended budget by series for the 26-27 school year. Next, I will provide an overview of our capital budget requests for the coming school year. The Board of Education's recommended capital improvement budget is $1,150,000 with an additional request of $14,339,152 bonded for HVAC projects at our 4 elementary schools. The capital improvement budget process is developed to address both short and long-term needs here in the district. This includes $550,000 for technology infrastructure, $175,000 for school security, $175,000 for school code and safety, $100,000 for district-wide mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, $150,000 for structural and architectural work. On behalf of the Board of Education and our school community, I thank you for your attention this evening and continued support of the Farmington Public Schools. I will now turn the presentation back over to Town Manager Kathy Blonsky.
The grand list. The grand list is broken down into 3 categories: real estate, personal property, and motor vehicles. The real estate account shows a 1.31% increase. The personal property account shows a 4.49% increase, and the motor vehicles account shows a 4.99% increase. In summary, the grand list increased by 1.75%, or $79,495,840, for a total grand list of $4,614,312,982. Some areas to note: real estate. The increase in the net taxable real estate is from apartment construction and development, residential development, and medical office construction. Personal property. The growth in personal property was mainly from utilities and commercial businesses. Revenues. I've broken down revenues into 9 categories: other property taxes, license and permits, fines and penalties, interest, grants, service charges, other, Westwood's contribution, and fund balance. In summary, the proposed non-tax revenues are $17,315,974, or a 0.46% decrease over the current year. Some areas to note: state and federal grants have increased from last year. Based on the governor's budget, the town is projected to receive an additional $205,722 in state and federal grants. Other revenue includes $764,473 in payments from the other major users of the wastewater treatment plant. These payments represent their share of the cost of the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project completed in 2019. Interest income is projected to be lower by $440,000 or 31.65%. Recommended tax and mill rate. The recommended general fund budget will require a property tax rate of 27.55 mils, which is an increase of 0.93 mils. In other words, $100,000 of assessed value equals $2,755 in taxes. Based on the tax rate of 27.55 mils, the average residential home will see an increase of $281.20 in their taxes. Referendum date. The townwide referendum will be next Thursday, April 30th, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, this is the part where we welcome the audience if they have any comments or questions from the audience. If you have any comments or questions, the microphone is right there. Just state your name and address and ask your question. You guys look nice. Up.
Yes, Tim Kelly, 62 Westview. My question is on the capital purchase list for the town. So I guess, Kathy, this would go to you. I saw an amount for $350,000 for the police station roof, but I'm quite sure that in a previous year we voted for a bond package that covered the air conditioning and new roof for the police station. So my question or my confusion is, why are we asking for $350,000 in this budget?
Thank you.
It's a supplemental appropriation because the roof bids came in higher than what we had asked for at the referendum.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'm going to call for voice vote. All in favor say aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Okay, can I have a motion to move the third item contained in the warning that the town of Farmington appropriate $14,339,152 for the costs related to ventilation upgrades and improvements to Noah Wallace Elementary School, Union Elementary School, East Farm Elementary School, and West District Elementary School. I will now call up Jess Giannani, Superintendent of the school.
So that first bonding question is to appropriate $14,339,152 for ventilation upgrades and improvements to Noah Wallace Elementary School, Union Elementary School, East Farms Elementary School, and West District Elementary School. This slide here shows a detailed view of the proposed HVAC projects for each elementary school. These costs assume a multi-year phase-in, providing our team enough time to work through each project. We have had discussions, and they've been ongoing, regarding the potential cost savings should the district move forward with multiple projects in 1 year. These projects do provide conditioned air, and they're also part of a state requirement that fresh air be brought into all schools throughout the course of the year. So it's the Fresh Air Act and also providing AC to our students through this bonded question.
Okay, we're going to repeat this again. Do we have any questions or comments from the audience? If you have any questions or comments, please stand up to the mic in the corner over there and state your name and address. On the Zoom call.
Demetrius Gianaros, 56 Basswood Road. My simple comment is, it's about time. This is so much necessary for our kids to be healthy when they are in school. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions?
Tim Kelly, 62 Westview. Today in Farmington, we're carrying a historic level of debt, the majority of it tied to school projects. This HVAC project, covering all the grammar schools, would obviously be a significant addition to that. The idea of upgrading to install AC in these older buildings is not a new one, but when the cost and complexity was balanced against how many truly hot days we have in September and May, it was never viewed as a top priority. When you look back at outdoor air temperatures for September and May over the past couple years, there are actually very few school days when the temperature exceeds our state non-mandatory guidance of 82 degrees before 3 p.m. in the afternoon. In a budget meeting last month, it was alluded that even though it might be, for instance, 79 degrees outside, it could be, say, 83 degrees inside. Do we have any documented studies showing indoor air temperature for our 4 grammar schools? I did not see anything on the website. So I guess that goes to the superintendent.
Yep.
I don't have any data for you this evening, but we can certainly pull our team together and look at some numbers from the past couple of years.
Was a specific study done, though, around what the actual temperature or air quality was?
Not sure, Sam?
No, it's okay. Just like yes or no.
Well,
it's fine.
just
If
a lot of this work was done prior to my tenure here in Farmington, and so just is it okay to have one of our team members come up and speak to it, Sam? Either one. It's a moment you've been waiting for.
It's like open mic night.
So as far as the studies on the hottest days, we do monitor the classroom temperatures in the elementary schools in particular, but because we don't have air conditioning throughout on the hottest days. It's not a document that we put together as per se a study, but it is something we always monitor to know if we have to have an early dismissal day and those kinds of things throughout the years. So we can pull whatever we have on that and share that with you. As far as the air quality, yes, we have mandated air quality reporting that we have to do through the Tools for Schools system. That used to be every 3 years. We currently have to do that every year, and that's a survey that goes out to every classroom teacher throughout the district to monitor all sorts of air quality standards that we have. Additionally, we have new mandated standards around HVAC, mechanical equipment testing that we have to do, and we've done that at the 4 K4s that we're proposing to be doing here. And on top of that, we did studies throughout after COVID especially, which is actually posted on our website to make sure that all the equipment that we do have is operating properly. The result of that has always been a recommendation that we bring fresh air into the buildings that's filtered and conditioned. So that's part of this project. And then the other part of that is the air conditioning part, which if you look back to the Fryer report as well, you'll see that it recommends looking into the addition of air conditioning at all our buildings.
Great. So the second part of the question is, how much more, either dollars or percentage, will it cost in the annual budget to operate these new HVAC systems across the 4 buildings? This might not be fair. I don't think you're the dollar guy, but.
Well, obviously, the number one cost that's going to be associated with new equipment is going to be electricity.
Right.
So if you look on a square foot basis, what we have in the buildings that we already have air conditioned versus the 4 buildings that we don't have air conditioned, it's obviously that will depend on the rates of electricity, but the last time we looked at that, it was about $100,000 a year for the 4 buildings. The other thing we'll have to have an increase in would be the maintenance, obviously. We have equipment that will need to be maintained that we don't currently have, and probably contracts associated with that as well. I don't have a figure off the top of my head on that, but we could certainly put something together that would be probably similar. We do it on a per square foot basis, similar to what we have at the other buildings.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? There's no further questions or comments. I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor say aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Can I have a motion to move the 6th item containing in the warning that the town of Farmington appropriate $4 million for costs related to repairs and reconstruction of various town roads and drainage system? I will ask Kathy Belansky to present. Oh, no, I call for a motion. Sorry, guys. I need to call for a motion before we take any questions. So do I have a motion on this? Do I have a second? Okay. Motion pass, or we got a motion and a second. So now I'll ask Kathy. Sorry, Kathy, I was jumping the gun.
No problem. The second bonding question is to appropriate $4 million for repairs and reconstruction of various town roads and drainage systems as may be determined by the town manager and the town engineer. The proposed roads for 26-27 are outlined on the screen. Thank you.
I was excited to get to the questions. Any comments or questions regarding this motion? Okay. If there's no questions or comments, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor say aye. All oppose? Motion passes. Okay, the 5th. Is there any other business to come before the town meeting tonight? I don't think there is. No? Okay. I will now ask for a motion that this annual town meeting be adjourned to the referendum vote on resolutions considered pursuant to the items in the annual town meeting notice to be held on Thursday, April 30th, 2026, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. at the polling places indicated in the notice. Do I have a motion? A second? Motion's made, second. I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor say aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.